I'm just here to do something that feels right in my heart, and so my kids will appreciate the fact that I really love them.
Good morning. My name is Ray Granstrom. I have a question. Have you or someone you love been separated from your child unjustly? Do you feel that family courts are unfair and biased in their wrong thinking? Should fit parents be denied equal access to their children just because the other parent wants the upper hand? I became a father almost 14 years ago after numerous fertility attempts. I chose to have my babies. I chose at the moment that they were conceived that I would do anything I could to protect them, love them, and raise them with my own spiritual upbringing. It was my chromosomes that gave them identity. One male and one female, twins, whom I love with all my heart. I chose to terminate my marriage for personal reasons that I won't go into. But I can tell you this: I never once chose to terminate or limit my access to my twins. What about my rights to equal access to my children? What about my children's rights to have both parents in their lives equally? Parents and children both have a civil and human right to equal access to each other. Is it in their best interest to alienate half of their identity by removing or limiting time with the other parent and making them a visitor? Should family court judges have such broad discretion to play out their biased ideology so that states continue to profit off of other parents by Title 4D bonus incentives? Florida statutes are still violating fundamental rights. I was even found to be a fit parent by the courts, and it even says so right in my final judgment. It's in the record, and yet I was limited to 18% time with my twins. 4 hours a week, 1 week. Next week, 2 hours. Plus, I get every other weekend. Does that sound like what's in the children's best interest? Only parents know what's in their children's best interest. Not attorneys, not gals, and certainly not biased judges who abuse their power. I went through almost 2 years of fighting for equal custody. Everyone in the courtroom knew I wanted equal custody. I knew that something was very wrong with the family court system when my former wife's attorney demanded that I tell her why I should be allowed to be granted equal custody, as if that was hers to grant. Citizens of Florida, it's time to wake up. Wake up and see the truth of what is happening. This will affect you at some point in your life, whether it's you, a brother, a sister, a daughter, a son, or just a friend. I'm not a visitor, I'm a loving father, and yet the family court calls me a visitor. I've been attacked by the Child Support Enforcement Agency over an order that is void on its face because it orders me to pay more than what I was earning. The judge in my case chose to sign an order that forced me to pay child support and permanent alimony in excess of my earnings. I've been impoverished by excessive and fraudulent child support and alimony payments. When my wage garnishments went into effect, I was left with nothing to survive on financially. It wasn't too long until I couldn't pay my own bills. Soon after that order went into effect, I lost my vehicle, then my job, then my home, which I had for my children. They set me up to fail, and now they label me as a deadbeat dad. Now there's a term everyone has heard, and it's not just for dads anymore. I would like to pose the question: are deadbeat parents self-made, or are deadbeat parents wholly engineered by a broken down, self-serving family court system designed for profit at the hands of biased attorney and judges with overly broad discretion ingrained with habits of wrong thinking. I want to be involved. I want to support my kids and my family. I want to raise them in the God-fearing Christian beliefs that I was raised in. The family court system took all that from me, and with no explanation and no right to do so. I am now considered, by all labels in society, a deadbeat parent, a second-class citizen. According to child support, since I can't possibly comply with such an excessive order. I'm an enforcement problem and soon will be facing driver's license suspension again, and eventually I will be incarcerated. Let's think about that for a minute. Now, does that make sense? Let's take away your license so there's no chance of being able to get work. Let's put you in jail because you can't comply. So any job prospects you may have had are now definitely gone. People, debtors' prisons exist. I'm forced to pay permanent lifetime alimony to an able-bodied human being whom I want nothing to do with anymore, except for what little dealings I must have for the sake of my children. But because of the family court's total abuse of power, I'm shackled and chained to her for life. I am now a Florida indentured servant, a modern-day slave to alimony and excessive child support. Thank you, Governor Scott, for turning your back on me and thousands more of other Florida people when you vetoed our reform bill at the last minute, so we would have no chance of an override. This year you bailed on us again because you didn't want to deal with it during an election year. I, for one, hope you don't get another chance to turn your back on us. With that, I introduced our guest speaker, Adrian Wyllie, Libertarian candidate for governor.
Thank you very much. And I got to tell you, when I started on the campaign trail, the family court system wasn't really on my radar. I'm a happily married man, been married 23 years. I have 2 boys, ages 15 and 21. And I was fortunate enough to be involved in every aspect of their life and continue to be, from the midnight feedings and diaper changes, through coaching youth sports, to teaching them to swim and drive a car. So it really wasn't something that affected me personally. It wasn't something that I knew was such a significant problem. But as I traveled the state, I talked to so many people that are in Ray and Tina's position here that are just, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see fathers that have absolutely no role in their children's life. And these are good fathers. And mothers, though the rarity, it happens as well, who are shut out of their children's lives. Not for any real cause, not for neglect, not for mistreatment, but by arbitrary decisions of a court that has too much power. As a libertarian, we always seek to solve problems with more freedom, more liberty, putting more power in the hands of people and less power in the hands of government. And I think that's one of the best solutions that we can come up with for the family court system. Let's begin to reduce the size and scope of the family court system. Let's allow the justice system as we know it to prevail. Instead of putting people in situations where one judge or one attorney's bad day can destroy the rest of their lives. And, you know, from Pensacola to Key West, this is a story I hear over and over and over again. Something must be done. You know, Rick Scott did have the opportunity, as you were saying, he had the opportunity to do something about it. and he failed to do anything whatsoever. The Florida Bar and the attorneys' lobbies are a very, very powerful force, and they like the current situation. I think that we need to get back to a much more constitutional role in our court systems. We need to recognize that the rights of parents are sacrosanct, and they can't be dictated at the whim of the courts. And that's why I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm very, though it saddens me to hear the story of how you've been so mistreated by the courts and how you've been impoverished and enslaved by the court systems. But we do have the opportunity to do something about it, and it's not even that hard of a fix. We have systems in place currently in the civil court system that would allow us to resolve these problems. All we need to do is minimize the power of the family court system, restore constitutional concepts within our government, and get back to the concept that parents' rights come first.